Independent RX Forum is sponsored by Wellgistics Health. Welcome to Independent RX Forum with the National Community Pharmacists Association, America's leading advocate and business education provider for independent community pharmacists. Independent RX Forum is powered by RX Connection.
Welcome to Independent RX Forum, NCPA's podcast. I am joined by my co-host today, Ed Cohen. Welcome.
Welcome, John. And Casey, great to see you. And we're here for another round of robust discussion.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So Ed mentioned Casey. We're talking with Dean Casey Ogbonna from the VCU School of Pharmacy. Welcome, Casey.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the hospitality thus far.
Well, you know, I had to invite you to be on the podcast because this is your first NCPA convention.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Really,
it's been great so far.
Really glad you could be here. And I know we've talked about this over the years. Why this year did you decide to accept my invitation to come?
Aside from you sending me emails weekly, I thought it was really important, one, to really encourage student engagement, particularly given community pharmacy, where we need assistance, where we need advocacy, where we need support. And for me as dean to show up and really provide students an opportunity to, one, see me here, but two, also learn about some of the things that we need to reflect in our academic enterprise and our curriculum and the like. So I'm really learning as much as I can and leading all the way in.
Well, you're certainly setting a good example. And I also want to commend you. We have, is it 5 or 6 VCU students here?
5 students here.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And I know there was some encouragement on your end for them to be here. Maybe you could articulate why you think it's important for students to participate in professional meetings like this.
Well, I think if you talk to our students that are here for this meeting, they will tell you that they've gained a tremendous amount in the first 24 hours. So one, the networking opportunities, opportunity for our students to see folks that are in the field. They hear a lot in the media, whether it be via TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, lay press, about what's ailing our profession, but also the opportunities that exist. And for them to hear from folks that are actually on the front lines, to learn about the challenges, but also learn about the tremendous opportunity firsthand is unique. And so our students are building professional networks. They're learning about what's really happening within independent ownership, and then hopefully taking that back to VCU to provide other students an opportunity to learn by example or hear from them why this is a great opportunity for them to grow their careers and maybe think critically about where they go next.
Did you have a set program for the students to focus on specific areas? Did you prime them a little bit when you brought them? And then when you get back, is there a program of some sorts for download to share with the right people?
Yeah, I didn't want to make it too prescribed. I really wanted them to essentially choose their own journey, but at the same time, I think NCPA has done a phenomenal job with the student programming and the schedule or slate that's listed for our students. Whether they love it, like it, or hate it, we're going to dinner tonight. And I think that would be the first opportunity to download. Say, you've been here for about 48 hours. What have you learned? What's important to you? And what are things that I might be able to think about as we head back home?
Well, one thing that they're going to get to share with you tonight is we've got students, a pharmacy owner and one of your students following you in the podcast. So
right.
we'll get firsthand what their experience has been so far.
I think Trey will tell you like it is, if you will. Yes.
So anyway, I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges facing the school. A lot of changes in healthcare going on. What are you as dean, and what's the school doing to maybe address some of those challenges? Whether it's doing things to change the curriculum to prepare students to be in a better position to practice when they get out of school. Could you share with us some thoughts about that?
Sure. I think both healthcare and higher education are at a critical juncture, perhaps even an inflection point. So on the higher education side, there's no doubt that folks are asking themselves, what's the return on investment for the time that I put in on the academic front? I think students are actively asking themselves, how do I go about acquiring the skills and abilities that I need, particularly with new formats, new domains, remote learning, et cetera. On the healthcare side, there's always concern about payment for services that are rendered, but there's a number of topics I can think of, from being woefully underprepared to care for our geriatric population, thinking critically about the shortage of primary care providers, and here we have team members, because healthcare is a team-based sport, that are actively on the bench, if you will, in many cases, and have the skills and abilities to really change the inflection point and provide really meaningful care. So as a school, we really focused on those areas, thinking one about enrollment. How do we create our own pipeline or pathway? And so at VCU, we just launched a new bachelor's program in pharmaceutical sciences. As you know, it's a program I'm ecstatic about.
You're very proud of it. You're very passionate about it.
Very proud of it. In one, it provides students in high school greater awareness of what's available in pharmacy and the pharmaceutical sciences. At the same time, it provides them direct entry into things like pharmaceutical industry, but then it also builds into our legacy programs, whether it be our master's or PhD or the PharmD track. And so no longer are we really waiting for the collegiate years to help them understand what's available within the profession. We're building it from the get-go, right from high school. So that's one area. Another is thinking critically about the workforce and the entire profession. And so we graduate great pharmacists. Also, pharmacy technicians are an important part of being able to provide the services that are needed right now. And so we just launched a new pharmacy technician program within the last 2 weeks to really think about the entire workforce, not just certain aspects of that workforce. And then the third, I would say, is thinking about continuing education. So what are our responsibilities, not only to the students that are currently within our four walls, but also students that have graduated, that are thinking about pivoting or shifting, that maybe want to go and open their own independent. Right. What are the types of educational opportunities we might provide for them to think about their practice?
Yeah.
Do you focus in your curriculum today? I know you touched on it briefly. The focus on community practice. What's been in place, and what changes are you looking to make? Can you kind of talk about that?
Sure. We've always had a strong emphasis in community-based practice. We were just recognized as one of the community-based champions for schools of pharmacy across the country. We're part of the ACT collaborative that AACP is really spearheading along the way. Kelly Good, who's known by many of your listeners, is one of our faculty members and director of our long-standing community-based practice residency. And so I think when you look at VCU, community-based practice and independent ownership has been part and parcel to what we do. What I will say is, in academia, we often have a curriculum, and that curriculum is put in place for 5 or 10 years, and then we try to shift and change. That's not tenable. The idea that the market around us in healthcare is changing so quickly, we need to be a little bit more nimble. And so part of our next generation pharmacist curriculum is providing opportunities for students to get the trunk of the tree, if you will. What are the things they need to be really successful when they go out in practice? But also, what are the branches, the things that they might take an interest in? It may be community-based health, population health, global health, maybe digital health and AI. As those things are changing, it's important that we can shift and provide students opportunities so that they're really well equipped when they graduate. And so our focus has been providing a new curriculum that can be far more nimble by way of concentration. And then students graduate with their Doctor of Pharmacy degree, but on their degree, it also has a concentration in X. And so employers can see the differentiation in our students and the skills they've acquired along the way.
Yeah. Wow. The next question I want to ask you and I've talked about this, and I think you partially answered it a minute ago, but I'd like to hear what your thoughts are regarding the role of the school in raising the profile of the profession. Because of all the workplace challenges and issues, I think pharmacy may have gotten a bad rap, over the last several years. I mean, some of the problems, I'm not trying to understate the problems because they're real and certainly need to be addressed. But what role does the school play in trying to build pharmacy back up as a preferred profession?
Yeah, I think pharmacy is absolutely a preferred profession, and I think we play a critical role in doing that. There's a saying that clinical pharmacy is what you do, not necessarily where you practice, if you will, or not the setting in which you find yourself. And so I think academicians, we can do a much better job of ensuring that we are relaying to our students and also externally that clinical pharmacy happens in all settings. And really, what does that mean for the community-based pharmacist that's providing care to their community? I also think policy and advocacy is a place that the school should have a prominent place in. Thinking critically about our students graduating and becoming successful is often dictated by the environment in which they go into. And so the school needs to play a role in talking with legislators and helping them understand the idea that healthcare is a team-based sport. And oh, by the way, you have these incredible providers that are not being applied in every setting. And because of that, our healthcare system is ailing. And so I think policy and advocacy is an important role we play. I think changing some of our lexicon to really ensure that we're thinking inclusively about pharmacy and pharmacy services. Mm-hmm. And then I also think helping students not make decisions based on their loan repayment or based on what they've heard out in the media, bringing them to opportunities such as this so they can talk with independent owners, for example, and get a true sense of why there's tremendous opportunity that's out there. My School of Pharmacy roommate for all of pharmacy school owns his own independent, Valley Pharmacy in outside of Derby, Connecticut.
Why did I know that?
He worked for one of the chains for many years, and then within the last 4 or 5 years went out on his own. Wow. And he's doing incredibly well. But that's also because he's thinking critically about the services specific to his community and thinking about delivering services in a very different way. And so it's those opportunities to engage students with folks that are truly changing the game, if you will, and helping them understand that the sky's the limit, and the profession provides you so many opportunities and can be a vehicle for tremendous success.
So you alluded to your roommate and his success in his pharmacy, being able to articulate and meet the needs of the community around him. So for the students in general, how do they embrace their pain? How do you teach them? I'm bumbling here. It's all about the patients. And many, many times the patient will come up to the counter, the pharmacist will engage with the patient, and the patient says, well, why are you talking to me about this? Your job is to do something else. Mm-hmm. So, that's a key part is marketing to the community around us. Do you have any programs or information about that?
Yeah, it's a great point. So I think a large part of our students and as well as pharmacists that are currently practicing, no matter in the community health system you fill in the setting, it's really focused on educating the folks that you're interacting with, the value-based care, the value proposition that you bring to the table, and helping educate them along the way. So for us, in our curriculum, we do motivational interviewing as part and parcel to the communication and student experience. We have management classes that are built into our curriculum as well. We have a Gayhart Leadership Development Program. So we had some alum, Nancy and Marshall Gayhart, who provided resources to build out a leadership program for students, because we want them not only to see themselves in a certain setting, but I want them to see themselves as the change agents and healthcare leaders of tomorrow. And that's agnostic to setting or where they practice. Right. Truly leading from the pharmacy lens, but also providing opportunities for them to think about career paths that don't currently exist. And if we're not teaching them for what tomorrow looks like, then we've done them a disservice along the way.
Yeah, and one point I wanted to make, Casey, is I commend you for taking the time to come to this meeting. I mean, you're a busy guy. You go to a lot of meetings. You have a lot of demands on your time.
You made a compelling case, John.
Well, I tried.
Yeah.
So anyway, I also think it's important for you to go back to your faculty and share your experience here, and hopefully you've gleaned some things from this experience that really point out the importance of community pharmacy in the whole healthcare spectrum.
One of the sessions I went to today was actually gathering of dean and faculty members that were here at the meeting this morning at 7 a.m., John, by the way.
And you were out late last night. I know that.
I was out late last night. But what was very telling from that conversation, there were a number of faculty members that are chapter advisors back at their home institutions. And what they talked about quite a bit was the importance of students having opportunities to see how broad and how many opportunities really exist within independent pharmacy ownership. The other thing they talked about is what are ways in which we can connect our curriculum to some of the things that are happening here at NCPA. So there are some schools that are doing the business case challenge as part of an elective, as part of a course, and then this is the capstone, coming to the meeting and actively presenting. And so there are absolutely nuggets that we're going to take back to our institution, and I think others will as well, to say, how do we ensure that there's partnership between the academic side and the association side in a meaningful way?
I think that's great. And speaking of the business plan competition, it was phenomenal this year. And those students are just unbelievable in terms of what they come up with for their plans.
You know, I'm an alum of two different colleges of pharmacy, one for my Bachelor of Science degree and one for my PharmD. And
Not VCU.
Not VCU, but I will commend you and compliment you just in the brief time we've had, the programs and the ways that you've incorporated community practice and the different aspects, leadership and other things that are needed. I'm not hearing that everywhere in my travels. So I commend you on your forward thinking, your energy, and hell, you brought students here and you're having a great time. You're gonna put them to the task of proving that they're learning things, and to give it to the dean. I mean, what could get better than that?
Right. So, but thank you again for being our guest, and we're getting ready to talk to one of your students here in a few minutes. So,
you know, I'm hopeful that he is kind to me, but I think he'll tell you exactly what his experience has been like, both here at the meeting, but also at VCU. So, special thanks to both of you for having me on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of the meeting.
Much appreciated. Great to meet you.